And is it, it's also probably important to list honors that the students achieved, whether it be like book awards or other honors that they've received. What about activities? Should they attach like a resume of all their activities, or is there a place for them to list all of that?
They can list them in it. I think there's a limited number of spots. It might be up to 6 activities is what they can fit in. And
so just their most important activities.
Right. They will want to put their most important ones. And I found for some of the students, some of their activities don't match up with the generic list that's created on the Common App. So cheerleading, for instance, wasn't there. So the cheerleaders were having to put other as a varsity sport and then put in cheerleading. So for some of them, they also have other outside of school activities that they want to highlight. So I do encourage students to put their resume together and put that in. It does spell out a lot of other things. I was working with a student the other day who got to put in nursing experiences because she wants to go for nursing. So she was talking about volunteering in the Lewiston school system at the flu clinics and volunteering in our flu clinic. So your resume captures a different set of information. The Common App is really pretty straightforward. It's asking about the number of hours and the number of weeks, and it's pretty compartmentalized. So they have more freedom with their resume.
So they can, I mean, if they're listing that on the Common App or whatever application they do online, then they can also send a hard copy of the resume if they, if it's something they don't want to attach, or we can send it for them. And kids are doing some really neat things with resumes. We've seen some really cool looking resumes. So and it can be so much more detailed than what you could put on the application itself. So
that's good to know.
Yeah.
And of course, the ambitious students are also that might have part-time work experience as well. Is it important to list like the jobs you've had or part-time? You mentioned the student that had nursing experience, so I would imagine that's sort of like a part-time job. What about if like you were, working in a convenience store or McDonald's or?
Colleges want to know what students do outside of their academics. Where else is their time spent? So they're giving that in the list of extracurricular, co-curricular activities, and they're giving it in their work experience, their volunteer experience. If a student has none of that, and their grades are good, okay, maybe they're spending all their time doing grades, maybe they're babysitting younger siblings, but colleges want to know where they're spending their time, how do they manage their time, what do they prioritize their time with. That's important, and it's a telling factor for them in the admissions process as well.
Right, and we have so many students now doing things, they're thinking about their careers and thinking about college a lot earlier, so they're setting up internships through schools and job shadowing, and all that looks great on your resume. And we have students who are, well, I'm not going to get into college because I haven't played basketball and I haven't been a cheerleader and I haven't been on the chess club, and that's okay. They want to know that you haven't been doing these things because you really need to hold a job. After school you're working 20 hours at Pizza Hut or whatever. That's important for them to know that you're taking that responsibility. You're also able to take care of school and your job, and you're doing well for yourself. So it's definitely, they love to hear those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is probably the part most people dread, and I don't know if it's the hardest part, but the essays. What can you tell me about what students should be looking at for the essays? And I'm assuming that there's an essay portion to the Common App.
Yeah, there are 5 different options.
Okay.
So we would encourage kids, sophomores, juniors, to start looking at the Common App and look at those essay topics, and over the summer start thinking about what you might want to write about, because that is probably the scariest part of doing the application. And kids will get done filling in all the information about themselves and then spend days and weeks agonizing and rewriting and I mean, I've had kids in tears because of the essay, so it can be pretty stressful.
It is. We actually require all of our seniors to write their college essay as part of their senior English class.
Great
so
idea.
Some schools are doing that.
I think a lot of us are. I think almost all of us in the county do that now. Yeah.
Because it's an important piece, and you want to have students have feedback on it as well. So it's set up that way, and it's really, when you look at the whole application process, the essay is the only part where a student has a voice, where they can say something to this person who's making a decision about them. So that part's really important, and it's less. Not that it's not important what they write about, but how they write it, and how they come across, making sure it's about themselves, that it's appropriate, that it's true to who they are and genuine to who they are, and so that's really hard to find, and students need a lot of help and guidance, and they get a lot of feedback. People are wonderful about giving them feedback, but it also gets confusing because everybody's giving them different feedback. So I was saying this to the students: in the end, it's your choice what gets sent. So you need to feel good about that essay that's there. It's not what I think think it should be or what your teacher thinks it should be. It's got to be what you
Right.
feel good about. So.
And they're looking for 500 or fewer words, so they're really looking at
Limited.
how you say it, not because some kids could go on and on and on, and
Mhm.
that's not what they're looking for. It's how you can say something really important about you, a piece of yourself, a piece of your life, something that means a lot to yourself, right? Right, and how you use the vocabulary and the grammar, and it can get overwhelming because a lot of our kids will have the teacher read it, and then they'll have the guidance counselor read it, and then we have an aspirations lab coordinator at our school, and she'll read it, and then there's so much input, and it can get overwhelming. So
Wow.
it can be the scary part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and after your transcript and your letters of recommendation, the essays, those three are right up there. Those are the big three. So
Okay.
essays really important.
All right.